This video is sponsored by Alcid eHomes, whose mission it is to accelerate the advent of sustainable, healthy living systems around the world. Hi, welcome to Best in Tesla. So, Sandy Munro has been talking about it a couple of times, that the real competition for Tesla is going to come from China. And we have been talking about the new guys like NIO and XPeng a couple of times, but BYD might be in the pole position in China. BYD was founded in 1995, so they have been making cars for over 25 years. So they are not totally newbies. They have not been known for their great build quality or great specs and technology, but more known for trying to copy everyone else. They were the company that Elon famously laughed about in the interview back in 2011.
Although there's competitors now ramping up, and as you're familiar with BYD, which is also on the West Coast, I think they're ramping up production of their electric vehicles. Warren Buffett owns 10% stake in that. Why do you laugh? BYD is trying to compete. Why do you laugh?
Have you seen their car?
I have seen their cars, yes. In fact, at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, I saw their cars.
Yeah.
Well, they are on a different... Tell me why you're laughing. You don't see them at all as a competitor?
No.
BYD did not succeed with the E6 back in 2011 in the US and are not in the US car market today. I guess they might have listened to Elon, who said that they should focus on not dying in China. Well, they did and are still kicking. But they did make an EV back in 2011, so they have also been in the game for a very long time, and even taken the Tesla approach with taking as much as possible in-house, and in some areas even beating Tesla and everyone else. But let me show you what all this is and why BYD is one to keep an eye on, and let's dive right in. BYD made about 250,000 EVs in 2019. They were a bit down in 2020, as were most automakers except Tesla, of course, that grew 35% in 2020, even with the pandemic and brand new factory ramp up going on. But BYD did make a much better profit in 2020 compared to 2019. They were actually up 162% in 2020 and had about $650 million in net profit. And they only have about $8.5 billion in debt, nothing compared to the old Western legacy automakers, so they are doing quite good. And they are going all electric within a couple of years, and their sales are already about 71% EVs. But they did only make a little less than 500,000 cars in 2020, so they are still not much bigger than Tesla in production volume when it comes to cars, but are still behind in terms of EV volumes. They did produce about 200,000 EVs in the first half of 2021, so not bad. That is actually more than the Volkswagen Group did. But compared to Tesla, that is what they produced in Q2 alone. But that also means that BYD is about 4 times bigger in production volumes of EV than XPeng and NIO, and those guys are still not profitable companies, but are growing very well and beating all the legacy automakers in China. But BYD is kind of the new king of the Chinese EV market, but is not quite keeping up with Tesla, of course. But BYD might have some tricks up their sleeves, because Tesla and BYD are very different companies, but that does not mean that BYD will not be successful. What BYD has that Tesla doesn't have, well, they are already selling electric buses, trucks and vans. Their van cost only $35,000 in Australia, so a very good price for a van. But BYD have just revealed their new EA1, also called the Dolphin. But this could become a very popular EV, especially in China, because it looks like the ID.3. Maybe a little bit too much like the ID.3. I think BYD has been looking a bit too much at Volkswagen little hatchbacks for inspiration, but the big difference here is the price tag. The EA1 will start at about $24,000, or in Australia, where they will also sell this car, it will be around 35,000 Australian dollars. So they have come out with their $25,000 compact hatchback EV already, and it will start deliveries in the beginning of 2022. But where BYD falls a bit short, in my opinion, is still the performance area. They claim that the EA1 will have up to 500 kilometers of range, but that is of course NEDC, not even damn close range, so probably not much more than a couple of 100 miles EPA, and charging seems to be very slow, like 60 kilowatt, but still this car is priced where I would like the ID.3 to be priced at. And I think it could be a very big seller in China, where we see something like the Wuling Mini EV is the best selling EV in China and cost only about $5,000. I don't like that car very much, if you can call it a car, because it doesn't have any safety features whatsoever, no airbags and so on. So that is also why I don't really look at it when I look at the EVs in China. But the EA1 will be a real car, and affordable one too. It will pretty much be on price parity with an ICE version of this type of car, so I think this could sell very well in China and maybe other places as well. And we have heard that Volkswagen will also bring their ID.3 to China now, so I think that could have a tough time against the EA1. Again, I don't think this will hurt Tesla much, because they are almost the exact opposite of BYD. Tesla is looked at as this luxury brand, and BYD is definitely not. But that doesn't mean that they cannot be successful with their EVs they are starting to offer, because they are starting to look a lot better than the old BYD cars. But I think BYD is kind of the cheaper version of a Tesla. Tesla does not make cheap cars, and all their cars have great specs, and Tesla will never make a car like the EA1 in my opinion. I think when Tesla comes out with their $25,000 car in 2023, it will beat the EA1 on all specs hands down. So the Tesla Model 2, or whatever it's going to be called, I believe will still be a much better value for money and a much better EV. But I think there is a market for both of these cars, because many don't care about all the specs and performance and luxury, but just want a cheap car to drive around in. Like we have Volkswagen and their Volkswagen brand, that is their luxury brand, and then they have the more affordable Skoda, or Mazda has Suzuki and so on. So I think especially in China, BYD could become the cheaper version of a Tesla. So I think BYD is a brand we need to keep an eye on, also because, as I said in the beginning, they do have some advantages over pretty much everyone else. Firstly, BYD makes their own batteries. And it is the battery we have heard quite a bit about lately with their Blade LFP batteries, so that should be very, very safe battery as well. And BYD's current battery production capacity is estimated to be around 60 gigawatt hours per year of their own batteries. They are actually the fourth biggest battery manufacturer on the planet, so here they are actually in front of Tesla. We are still waiting on Tesla to turn on their own battery factories. But the big difference here is, again, as I have said in almost all my videos about Tesla's 4680 cells, when Tesla turn on their battery factory in Berlin and ramp it up, that factory alone will be able to produce between 200 and 250 gigawatt hours. So even though BYD is in front with 60 gigawatt hours of their own batteries, I think Tesla will overtake them pretty quickly, because they have made sure that their battery will be easy to mass produce, and that is still the most important thing. But BYD does make their own batteries, so that is pretty cool. But BYD has another advantage that right now is probably more important. They even make their own semiconductors. I just made a whole video about this, saying that I think Tesla should make their own semiconductors, but BYD is already doing it. And this could actually put them in front of the game here in the next couple of years. While everyone else is struggling with getting enough semiconductors, BYD will make their own semiconductors, so 2022 could be a very good year for BYD. I definitely think that BYD is one of the Chinese companies we need to keep an eye on because they are getting in position to become a really big player in the car industry. They are already a big player in electric buses and trucks, and they are getting into every single vehicle category, including pickup trucks too. So they could become one of the biggest budget EV car makers in the world. I still don't think they will be able to compete with Tesla because Tesla has one thing that BYD does not have, and that is that Tesla has been innovating in the production of the cars. So Tesla will be able to produce a lot more batteries than BYD probably will, and a lot more cars because Tesla's very efficient car plant. And as Elon said, everyone will be able to make great EVs at some point, but not all will be great at manufacturing. Tesla will be head and shoulders above everyone in manufacturing. And BYD is still an old car maker, and I don't think they will be able to produce as many cars as Tesla or scale up as fast as Tesla. But we of course don't know. Maybe BYD will try to copy Tesla's innovations like the gigacasting machine and so on, but time will tell. But again, BYD will be making vehicles in every single category and are already producing more EVs than Volkswagen. So I do think that BYD will be a very big player in China, the market Volkswagen have to succeed in. And even if we say one of the reasons why Volkswagen's bad sales in China is because of the semiconductor shortage, well, that will not be a problem for BYD. And if Volkswagen comes to China with the ID.3 at pretty much the same time as BYD's EA1, I think we will see yet another disappointment for Volkswagen in China because the ID.3 is not a luxury car. It is a cheap electric car, but still just not very affordable. So if people in China have the choice between the ID.3 and the EA1 that is much more affordable, I think most will go with the EA1. It is supposedly also going to be much faster than the ID.3, but we still don't have all the official specs yet. It mostly just claims at this point, but we will see. But when we are talking about the ID.3, it might not matter that BYD maybe not have the greatest technology in their car in terms of software and driver assist and so on, because the ID.3 doesn't have that either. So it all comes down to two small electric hatchbacks, but one being much more affordable and maybe even a little bit more fun than the other. And I think this could actually be a very big blow to Volkswagen that is trying desperately to get some traction in China. And that little BYD hatchback could become one of the best-selling EVs in China in 2022. So BYD is definitely a company we need to keep an eye on because they could become a very big player, not just in China, but the rest of the world too. So even though many of the legacy automakers don't want to run too fast toward 100% EVs, both because they don't think that Tesla will be able to pull off the numbers they say they can. So maybe they don't take Tesla's 2030 goal of 20 million cars too seriously, and they think they still have a lot of time. Well, the Chinese companies are not sitting still either. So if they don't want the European and the US market to be swamped with affordable EVs from China and luxury EVs from Tesla, well, they better get going. In my opinion, I think every single legacy automaker needs to work with a sense of urgency. And that also goes for the Japanese, because all the Chinese players are rising quickly, and China could become the new big player in the Asian car market. But what do you think? Are BYD doing the right thing here, or are their product not good enough, or do you think they are on the track to become a top 5 car maker in the world? Well, let me know in the comments below. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.